Let's get back to the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
Well, for the second time in 3 years, it's Chiefs and Eagles in the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
nobody thought that it could happen.
They laughed at us.
We'll check the tape on that one a little bit later on in the show, but let's get to the nitty gritty of the football game last night, and I want to talk about the dots guy as well. That'll be in about 10 or 15 minutes. Once we get through this conversation. So when the Chiefs play a football game, people say that the outcome of said game is predetermined, right? Or in these moments that require very close calls, things like that, the Chiefs always end up being on the right side of them. And honestly, they do find themselves on the right side of those things. But as we've explained all throughout the year, they have figured out their formula to simply winning football games, right? Who would have thought that they could have scored 32 points, last night against Buffalo? They haven't scored 32 points all year.
All year.
They literally haven't scored 32 points all year. But they find a way to do so, and there were some moments along the way that need to be reviewed. So let's go to fourth down.
Okay.
Let's go to fourth down last night. Now, I'm going to show you guys the video. If you're watching along with us on YouTube or at 1620thezone.com, zonetv.live, you'll be able to see this. If not, you'll be able to play theater of the mind or go back to what you saw or what you thought you saw last night. This is going to show you two replay angles, as was broadcast on CBS, of Josh Allen's fourth down quarterback sneak attempt against the Chiefs defense last night in the AFC title game.
So, tucking it, and now going, reaching for it. It's as close. He's looking from the other side where the football is. Right there. Does he get enough to get to that line? Just had to get to that line.
There. Sorry. That last angle right there, coming from the other side, was probably the best shot that you were going to have, right? And it featured Josh Allen pummeling his way into a scrum, bodies upon bodies, all in one place, but a relatively clear look at Josh Allen, but maybe not so much of where the football was. So, in this situation, it is the call on the field that becomes the most important thing. Given how the replay system currently works and the processes that we have to go through, it is the call on the field that matters most, because you're pretty much assured, unless everybody missed something, that it's going to be difficult to get an overturn on a situation like that. Sneaks, and we're talking about spotting of the football. Not is a catch, not was he in bounds, it's spotting the football. And this requires so many other tenets, right? We're talking about forward progress and like, was the runner down? In this specific case, obviously he wasn't down. It was just the spot of the football and where it ends up being. And so it's the call on the field that is really crucial.
We've been reviewing football plays for a quarter of a century now. We know, hey, you need to have indisputable evidence to overturn the call on the field. I think America's forgetting that right now.
They do. And we're using and so the narrative going into the game with the Chiefs is that they get everything and they get every call, and
confirmation bias going on right now.
So on the field is really important. And if you're telling me on the field that they should have marked it that he had the first down, which the one official coming in it looked like he had the mark for Josh Allen to get the first down, and the other official coming in from the front side of the play, who actually had a decent look at the ball, marked it short, and he was the one who ultimately ended up ruling on the play, ruled him short, and then you go to replay, and you're pretty confident at that point that you're not going to get it overturned. Remember, it's 4th down. I am honestly I know we do this every time, and now with the Chiefs, it's becoming like this self-fulfilling prophecy. I am floored that people think it was so obvious that he went over the line. That when they put it up on replay, you were obviously going to get an overturn. Because that's what social media, that's what my feed of tweets was telling me last night. It's like, don't, because they went to break, right? And then we had 3 minutes to sit on this. They're like, don't worry, they're going to change it. I went into the break with the replay, the little that they had shown, thinking, gosh, I don't know it. I don't know. And then they came back and showed what you just saw. Or if you're watching along with on YouTube, what you just saw. And based off of that, I wasn't sure about anything. Did he get that football to the line? Maybe. Was it overturnable? Was it indisputable that he got to the line before he was shoved back?
No.
In my opinion, no.
No.
And you guys know me, like, I'm not a Chiefs homer, and like I'm not saying what I say goes here, but I'm floored that people think it was that obvious that he went over the line. Really. And then I'm really floored that people thought there was going to be enough on replay to overturn it. That's really the thing, I guess. So if you want to call it on the field that he got over and he got the first down, you have to make that call on the field, and that's going to be really tough to see live. It always is. The official on the backside of it, who had Josh Allen turn from him, seemed to think that it was maybe a half a yard in front of where they actually ended up getting it. So are we saying that guy saw it better? Like, no. Like,
it's impossible for that guy to have seen it better.
It's just
that guy's
so
telling
close.
you what you want to hear.
That guy is telling you what you want to hear. And then, like I said, I'm really floored that people thought it was going to be enough on the replay to overturn that.
And then we get into last night. People are like Charlie Day from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia with string all across their marker board, like, okay, it means that that Patrick paid the refs and that Roger Goodell wants ratings for a Super Bowl. Yeah, because the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen would bring no ratings to this thing.
Gooey Butter writes in.
Hi, Gooey Butter.
It wasn't just that spot, it was the spot before that. So that's what I was going to get to. I think the appropriate opportunity for a challenge or whatever was the one on where Dalton Kincaid, and we're going to talk about another Dalton Kincaid play as well, but on the 3rd down play where he got to the line and it was really close. And remember, the key about that play is that he's generally out in the open. There's one guy around him. And so in my opinion, you actually have a chance there to look at that on replay and say, oh, he got to the line. And yet they went up on 4th down, and now we have the scrum of people instead. And it's just, we got a guy going forward, and he pushed back. He got pushed back. On the play before, it was just, he dove the ball out, let's see where he's at, right? It's almost like, did he score a touchdown or did he not score the touchdown? That kind of thing. I think he had a better chance on that one. I didn't think that spot was good. I think if they would have replayed that may have provided enough evidence to be able to say the Bills got the first down on the 3rd down, and the 4th down play doesn't happen at all, which would have been great for all of us.
Yes. Wouldn't be here right now.
We wouldn't be talking about this stuff. I'm not like, I didn't need the Bills to win. I'm like we were saying, we both thought the Chiefs were, going to end up in the Super Bowl, and
sure,
we'll get to that a little bit later.
They're
in the
a very
show.
good team.
So
they've been here before. You're not going to rattle them.
I feel like I'm taking crazy pills today. I feel like every little thing that happens in these games is used. And this is by like people who try to watch the game objectively. Mm-hmm. Like, obviously you see a fair amount from Chiefs fans or Chiefs haters who are like, this does or doesn't or whatever confirm that the refs are in the bag for the Chiefs and all this stuff. Like, people who observe the sport at an objective level, they were like, yeah, well, come on. Am I the only one on this? I mean, clearly you and I are both on the same page here, Josh. But like, I feel like I'm the only person who's like, Yeah, I just didn't see enough there. And that's how it goes. When you're getting to a 4th and 1 QB sneak situation where we got to spot a ball, is it ridiculous that we don't have the technology to be able to spot the ball? Like, of course. Of course. So there's that whole side conversation too.
We gotta do the tennis thing, and we gotta
put a chip in the ball.
We're gonna microchip it, and well, okay, the you can't see the ball a lot of the time in those scrums.
Well, if you put a chip in the ball, then you don't have to see it, right?
Theoretically,
right. I mean, I'm down with putting a chip in the ball.
Sure.
Put a chip in the ball.
This is a $10 billion a year industry. They can put a chip in the ball.
Yeah, we can figure out something better. And so I was wondering a little bit last night and into this morning, what will be the thing from this game? Because, we changed overtime 2 years ago for this game.
That's right.
And so the thing, maybe the rule change that comes out of this game, the overreaction rule change that comes from this game will be putting a chip in the football finally, or experimenting with putting chips in the football.
Or going back to measuring first downs.
We just don't do that anymore.
Bringing the chains out.
So was that one of the things? I don't like, why has that been removed from the sport? Was that a pace of play?
I think so.
Initiative? Like hey, we got to speed these things up. We can't be running these chain guys out on the field all the time.
That's my guess.
I would imagine so too. Like if I'm Sean McDermott, I'm yelling at whoever I can, like, hey, can we take a look on third down? Can we just take a closer look, or if not, can we measure? Can we figure out something?
Show me exactly how short I am if I'm short.
Right. But then when you get to 4th down and it's a QB sneak and it's a giant scrum of people, it's just going to be harder to sort through. And so for people to be so vehemently like, oh, this is a screw job. Is it a absolutely torching, gut-wrenching loss for the Buffalo Bills? Like, you could see it. They held the camera on Josh Allen just staring off into the abyss for like 5 minutes after the game.
That was painful.
I was sick for him. It's a gut-wrenching loss. I didn't feel as if it was stolen from him.
I was sick when it was 29-29 with 6 minutes to go, because I just knew,
this is gonna.
You've really set yourself up to get your heart broken here, Bills fans.
Yep, this is how it goes. And then when they get the field goal, you're like, okay, here we go. You tweeted it, Josh Allen legacy drive, right?
Now here's an interesting point from LLH on the YouTube channel.
LLH.
How do you make the whole ball a chip? Because any part of it is needed to break the plane.
Maybe you just, I don't know. Great question. Maybe you put one in the front and one in the back on the tip, on each tip.
Okay. That would solve a lot. Very few times
then you
is somebody breaking the plane with the side of the ball.
And then you just laser the line, right?
Yeah.
Instead of like, because the line that they superimpose on the television broadcast it's a whole thick 10-yard line, right? Like it's this big. What's the line? Like, what's the actual line? Is it the start of that line?
In that thick line,
I think it's
the line.
It's the start of that line.
That makes sense,
right? And so, on the initial run through, I was like, yeah, he might have got it, but the call on the field was the most important thing, and they didn't get the call on the field because it was bang bang, and then you knew on replay afterwards that there wasn't going to be enough to overturn it, and that just So David writes in on the Equitable Bank inbox here.
Hello, David.
Says, thank you for this. There are people that are saying that it was absolutely obvious that Allen made the first down. No, it wasn't obvious. I think if they gave him the first down and they reviewed it, the call stays the same. I agree.
Right.
And the ref at the top of the screen ran in like it was a first down. But if you notice, when he got to where the players are, he was marking it short. Now that was on the third down play. On the fourth down play. And then he says also on the play where people think Dalton Kincaid made a first down, he was short. His elbow was down before he tried to extend the ball across the line. I think upon further review, they would have found that as well. But once again, I just think you have a better chance to have a call changed because there's just less of a scrum of people. It's more obvious, right? You can tell where the player's knee, elbow is. You can tell where the football is, right? And then we can respot it. And then we can measure, right, after that. But, yeah, I just, I don't know. I guess I didn't Guess I didn't see what everybody else is seeing. But that's the way it goes. And then there was this, and here's another piece of confirmation bias or evidence that people are using that the Chiefs get all the calls and they're cheating.
Patrick gets all the calls.
Patrick gets all the calls. This is a play that doesn't involve Patrick Mahomes. Here's an interception that went the Chiefs' way on another bang play.
Field stands is called. It is a Kansas City catch. And first down and goal.
Oh, Tony, I know you're not going to agree with this one.
Well, I want to see. There's the hand. The white glove has to have possession of that. So right there, he doesn't get the left, and that ball hits. And I could see it because you can't completely say no, but that ball hits pretty. I don't know if you have possession for it. Gene?
The other thing you're saying is Worthy's pinning it there. Now when it comes down and it makes contact with the ground, does the ball move enough to say that caused loss?
So people are saying on that, and that was a Kansas City offensive player. You know, it looked like live to me just on the first watch that the Bills had an interception. I was like, whoa, they got an interception. But clearly it was a tie up, right?
Okay.
And then people are saying, okay, well the Chiefs caught it. The Chiefs came away with it, which is what you see oftentimes, like when, hey, we got a little tie up scrum here. Who's got it? All right, the Chiefs guy Xavier Worthy came out with it, but
they said shortly after that play, and I'd never heard this before either, tie goes to the offense.
But the ball hit the ground, Josh.
Yeah, yes.
How could the ball hit the ground? Once again, I don't like. Do we just forget the common stuff that we all know about this, about these things when stuff like this happens, or when the Chiefs are involved? Like, it's not like the. So I had a friend text me and he said, "Ball hit the ground with no possession," and I was like, "Well, the ball was possessed by somebody. The ball was in firm control of a human or multiple humans."
Somebody
at that point.
Pinned it to the ground.
It's not like the ball was floating through the air and then it hit the ground and it got lodged. It's not whether or not the ball touches the ground. It's whether the ground affects the possession of the football.
Okay, I follow.
It did not. Like, unequivocally did not. Upon further review, the ball hit the ground, but it was being firmly possessed in somebody's arms, right? In what they determined to be in the Chiefs player's arm, in Xavier Worthy's arms. Like, it was controlled. It didn't move when it hit the ground, and people were like, well, we're just going to skip on by that. That's just another Chiefs thing. Like, no, but they called the Chiefs had the football. Tie goes to the offensive player. All right. It's not like they missed. They saw the ball hitting the ground on the replay. Nobody could miss it.
I would hope so.
But it was possessed. It was possessed, and the ground didn't affect the football at all. It didn't move it. It didn't dislodge it.
Okay.
Right? I mean, am I missing something?
No, I think you're right. Actually,
I don't know.
I was of the belief last night that
the Chiefs were screwing us.
No, that I probably would have called it an incompletion.
I thought it was. It had to be either a pick or a catch.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there was any real way that was an incomplete pass.
You're showing some good work here.
Thank you, Josh. I appreciate that. So, but then people just take this and they're just like,
there it is. There's the thing I've been looking for the entire game. There it is. Right
it
in front of
happened
my
again.
Eyes.
Classic Chiefs. And I don't know. I just don't think that's a great example of it. And it's a good example of what happens when they figured out their formula, right? They win a lot of games. They do get some breaks. At the same time, the Bills recovered like 9 of their own fumbles inexplicably somehow. Like we got Josh Allen flying over all around, jumping over stuff, fumbling the football, and somehow recovering it when he's upside down on a pile, right? Like that.
And
he should have thrown 3 picks on the first drive of the game,
right?
Josh Allen.
And he had a chance. He had the ball. He was trailing by 3 with time on the clock. And he pooped his pants.
You think he pooped?
That might be a little harsh. I believe
You'd be nice to him.
I believe Spags drew up a very nice defensive plan, which was blitz the hell out of him.
Oh, really?
Yes.
What told you that? The dots? So Ben Solak is the dots guy.
Dots guy.
He's the guy who will come in afterwards and he will say, well, and so now we're talking about on the last offensive play for the Bills, where obviously Josh Allen, he got that corner blitz, it went right in his face, and he had to just chuck it up for Dalton Kincaid, who should have caught it. After all of that, should have caught the football like easily.
I didn't realize until after the broadcast how close it was.
I mean, he should. They didn't really go back to it until the Chiefs were kneeling it down.
Yeah,
and so Ben Solak comes in, and he's the dots guy. He's like, I got the next gen stats. Here's what he should have done. He should have thrown it out to the orbit route to Khalil Shakir. He would have been open. They might have scored a touchdown on that play.
He shouldn't have.
It's like
that would have been
he would have had to have eyes in the back of his head,
and it would have been a throw completely against his body.
Yeah. I mean, he threw it up into the sky and nearly got a completion out of it.
500.
And that was the only thing he had the opportunity. He wasn't looking for anybody in particular. No. He just wanted to throw it up into the sky and hope that somebody came down with it.
I cannot hold on to the ball. I have to make a throw.
Yes. And people are like, well, he should have just thrown it to Khalil Shakir. It's like,
should have thrown it to the guy who was open.
He should have scored a touchdown on every play. Why didn't he do that? The dots say that he could have done that. It doesn't take into account any context whatsoever. The stupid dots. We have to get rid of the dots. Next gen stats, dots guy. I love the stats that we get off of this. Mm-hmm. But to go back and retroactively take all the emotion and the quick decision making and all that stuff out of this and say the dots said he should have thrown it to Khalil Shakir on the orbit route.
Pretty obvious, though.
And then he went back and was like, well, see, he threw it to him on the orbit route. Yeah, but he didn't have 6 guys in his face, and it wasn't fourth down.
He didn't have 3/4 of a second to throw the football.
Yeah.